Welcome to Tapped In with Tony. I am your host, Tony Bogan, and joining me tonight is a singer, songwriter, and an author coming straight out of Georgia, A.E. Charles. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, the pleasure is all mine, man. I appreciate you asking me to join your podcast tonight.
I appreciate you coming on, man. I've been listening to a lot of your work. And I gotta say, I'm a fan.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I even appreciate how we even met. How you just reached out to me out of the blue. That type of stuff really makes my day, to be honest with you, man. So, yeah, man, it's really great to finally meet you in person.
Of course, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself for those who are probably tuning in for the first time.
Well, my artist name is A. Charles. Most people call me Zell. That's my nickname. And I'm originally from Stone Mountain, Georgia. I live up in the DMV area now, particularly Maryland. But yeah, man, I spent most of my time growing up in Georgia, particularly Stone Mountain. And as far as music, man, I've loved music since I can remember, to be honest with you, man. I've been singing since I was 7. My dad put me in the church choir, and then at 8, I started playing the piano for a number of years. And then while I was playing piano, I also was still doing like church choir and everything like that. And piano was really what got me into wanting to create my own songs. On top of, at the time, someone that really influenced me early on was Kanye West. Like when he first came out with College Dropout, Late Registration, it gave me motivation to make my own music. And I realized that, oh, I can actually talk about what is relevant to me and people will actually like it. You know what I mean? So he gave me like a lot of hope and inspiration in that way. And from there, I just started writing my own songs. So that was like around 2005. And from then on, um, yeah, I just been writing my own songs, just honing my craft. But what was another highlight in my life was in about, I want to say, 11th grade. I signed up to take a music appreciation class, right? But they kind of finessed us because enough people didn't sign up for the school choir. So they're like, "Hey, we're actually going to turn this into a chorus class, and we'll do music appreciation on Fridays." And the teacher I had, his name was Mr. Charlie Snell. Shout out to Mr. Snell. Like he gave me a lot of confidence back then. He was like one of the first people outside of my parents to like really believe in me and my talent. And he really put a lot of confidence into me, as well as like one of my other teachers, Mrs. Frills. She saw I was in the chorus with her son at the time, so she used to encourage me, like, "Hey, in your school projects, do like some music type stuff and all that." So, um, like those two and another teacher I had the following year, my senior year in high school, Mr. Gary Saltmarsh, I believe. Yeah, Saltmarsh. He also encouraged me too. So I always tell people like early on when you're really honing your craft, you need like those teachers, those instructors, along with your parents that really push you and really like encourage you, and also just don't tell you what you want to hear, but also give you constructive criticism that like push you forward. Because I'm not gonna lie, early on I really battled with taking constructive criticism because I don't like inherently like negativity, but I still use it as fuel to get me to like hone in my craft and get me like better over the years. So it's weird. It's like I don't like it, but I appreciate it at the same time. So so yeah, man. So then like going into college, I was actually thinking about minoring in music, but I didn't end up doing that. But what I did do my first 2 years, I was in the college choir, and that really helped too. That really helped me, uh, like just get better as a singer and learn better techniques. And it also during that time, honestly, throughout my whole life, it's always been like singing, like rapping, and also like writing. Um, so throughout all those years, I've always been like a great creative writer. So they always worked in tandem for me. And I felt like by the time I got to college, like I really was able to hone in on both of them, and I was able to grow at an exponential rate. And really, like I would say, it was like probably like the end of high school, early college is when I really found my voice. And from then on, I've really just been honing it in. And also, like along the way, I was in a rap group with my cousin Pierre. Shout out to him. I was in like another like type of like acoustic group with my boy Hanak, and like I learned a lot being with them as well. And as long as like rapping with my friends, like all these experiences I've had along the way made me the artist I am today. And I couldn't be here without those guys and without my boys back home in Georgia, late night, early mornings, and without my boy like James Kalakage and Zoji and one of the people that I think I believe I know you from is Jordan. He's been great along my journey as well too. So like all these people uh, have really helped me be who I am today as an artist, and I wouldn't be here without them. So I really appreciate them, as well as my family and all my instructors along the way.
Absolutely, Joel, as Anthony has been a two-time guest on this
Oh
podcast,
wow, great, great, nice.
episode 7 and episode 40, where we talked about his debut album 544.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah, it's crazy that you bring that up because I have a song with him on there. I think it's called "Gotta Make It" or "Make It." Yeah, it's called "Make It." And I like it was a special moment creating that with him because a lot of times when I'm making music with people, I kind of think in an A&R type of way. So a lot of people call me A&R AE type of thing, and a lot of times I love to have conversations with people to basically figure out where they are in their life and kind of make something that kind of caters to them personally. And I know at the time he was just going through like feeling a lot of emotions with like just trying to make it in music and like and just trying not to give up and like feeling a little discouraged but still trying to keep going type of thing. So I remember a hook just came to me out of nowhere, and I sent it to him, and I'm like, "Hey, use do with this as you want. Like this is for you. It's my gift to you." And he decided to make a beat around it and put it on his album. And I'm forever grateful for that. And it's a full circle moment too because how I met Joel was I met him through my boy Katakage, and he linked us back in I want to say think that was 2021. Yeah, like August of 2021. And it's crazy because I had sent him some of my music. He had been listening, and he created a great beat for me. And I believe this is one of the songs that you like. It's called Van Gogh Colors, and it's a really special song because uh, the night before he sent me that beat, I spent some time with a very special friend of mine, someone I really care about, and we went to a Van Gogh exhibit, and me and her had a great time. And the song is really inspired by that whole evening. And I remember waking up the next day, and he had sent me that beat, and the words just like magically just came to me. And I remember, I think I recorded it either later on that day or the next day. So that was one of those like quick turnaround type of songs. And yeah, I think it's one of my highest streamed songs. Yeah, people love that song. So it was one of those ones too where it was very experimental for me and him at the time. And it was one of those ones where I didn't know if people were gonna like it or not, but I just knew that I liked it, and so we decided, and Joel liked it, and it challenged him, and it challenged me, and we put it out, and yeah, the rest is history.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You never know who you meet, especially when I've been doing this for about over a year. The podcasting.
Oh, okay.
And I do high school video content for our website, Keon Sports, which I cover high school games in and around the area, Northeast Ohio area
Okay.
specifically.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I also like to listen to you guys' music, Jewel's age, Jewel yourself, Zoji, etc.
Wow, appreciate that, man.
And growing up, having grown up in the A, or technically outside of the A,
Yeah.
nothing shy. No, you're not shy of musical influences, especially with how popular the
Oh,
music scene is down there.
yeah.
So, as you came through, how was it like growing up in Atlanta, Georgia, and who
You
are
know,
else were some of your biggest influences?
it's really no place like the Atlanta metro area. To be honest with you, like it's a hub of just a lot of creative people and very talented individuals, a lot of like entrepreneurs. You see a lot of people that look like you and me just being successful and like growing up, like having successful parents, and also having friends that had successful parents, and just growing up in a very um, just like entrepreneur, success driven community naturally makes you want to be great as well. And yeah, man, like growing up in the '90s was a special time in Atlanta, man. Like I really got to experience some of like the best phases of Atlanta music, whether it was ATL bass in the '90s, which I like to call like skate music because that's the music we used to skate to growing up, and then transition into the crunk movement, which really I feel like helped take Atlanta music to the next level.
Hey,
And
crown down.
created our influence for sure. And then going into trap and going into like the dance, like the snap movement and everything like that, and then futuristic and then ultimately what we are now, which I don't even know what we would call this phase of Atlanta music, probably still trap, I guess. But yeah, man, it's been a beautiful thing to like see the Atlanta music like through the different eras and yeah, like early on, the artist that really influenced me, like singing wise, is Usher. So it's crazy that he just did the Super Bowl because like he was one of the first like modern artists at the time that I remember. Because like growing up, when I first started listening to music, I listened to a lot of older music. So I listened to like a lot of like Michael Jackson, Bob Marley, like older like R&B, like Shaka Khan, Luther Vandross,
Yep.
Temptations, like all the oldies, and then even like older gospel music, older like classic rock, And then, but my first two modern day songs at the time, I want to say this is between probably '96 and '98. I'm assuming were like "Hard Not Life" by Jay-Z. That song stood out to me just because of the Annie sample. Because growing up, my mom and sister loved to look at musicals, so I was just so fascinated that Jay-Z was able to flip "It's a Hard Not Life." I just thought that was amazing, to be honest with you. And then, other than that, "You Make Me Wanna" by Usher was an R&B song, a modern R&B song at the time that I remember, and I was just captivated by the video, like his dance moves, how he was, how his voice, like his vocals, and just how smooth and like player he was. And then I found out he's from Atlanta, and I was like, oh man, like this guy's my favorite artist now. And yeah, man. And then also, of course, Outkast. Outkast was amazing. Like a lot of the early Outkast songs, like Rosa Parks, Sorry Miss Jackson was a big one when I was in elementary school. Yeah, man, like they all shaped like who I am, especially like the movement, because that's when I really remember, like like in my formative years, and just like Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, that whole wave, and then of course like D4L,
Yeah.
The franchise boys, like that whole thing. But also on top of that, we had that going on. But then you also had T.I., Ludacris, Young Jeezy, Gucci Mane. So it's like we had just an endless mixture of artists. You know, Goody Mob. One of my personal favorites, and I got to shout him out because he's from my hometown, Stone Mountain. Is Saha the Prince. I don't think he gets enough spotlight, but he's great. He's amazing. He works a lot with like Kanye, ghostwrites for a lot of people like Travis and stuff. But yeah, man, like and then JID, he's great too. I love him. I'm always really fascinated with Future, like people like Killer Mike too, because they all come from the Dungeon family, and just to look at that lineage is amazing. But yeah, man, Atlanta is like just an amazing hub of talent, all different types of musicians we have, and it's crazy because even if you think back to like before the '90s, like Georgia in general, we just always had a lot of great artists, like starting back to like Little Richard, James Brown. We got two of the architects. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's definitely something special in the ecosystem in Georgia that is able to foster all these great talents. You know, Ray Charles as well, Otis Redding. So yeah, man, like we've definitely, I feel like through the years had have because we had greatness early on. We just been trying to like keep passing the baton, and I feel like that's why we've been able to like foster amazing talent over the years. And one thing that I think also helps is one thing I talk a lot about with my friends back home is like the unique voices of Atlanta artists and Georgia artists in general. I feel like that's what makes us stand out. Whether it's like our accents or like the way we talk, the way we say things, people are naturally like captivated by it around the world, and it just sticks. And we're able to just uh, take our talent all over the world, just because people just love who we are. Um, but yeah, man, it's definitely no place like Atlanta, no place like Georgia.
So everybody's basically throwing the A's up like summa cum laude.
For sure, for sure,
Yeah.
man.
Oh yeah, especially Atlanta is the hub of like it basically put the South on the map. I know you
Yeah,
mentioned
the capital of the South. I'm biased, but I think it's the capital of the South.
you mentioned Goody Mob, Usher's album before he got big, Jermaine
Mhm.
Dupri, Chris
Oh,
Cross.
thank you for mentioning Jermaine Dupri because I have to say, man, Jermaine Dupri is so talented, and he's one like focal like point to really why we like Atlanta is a staple the way we are now, like what everything he did in the '90s. But one thing, like a few things in particular, I want to highlight about Jermaine Dupri is like the fact that he was able to do Confessions in 2004, in the following year put out Emancipation of Mimi with Mariah Carey. I just think that's one of the most amazing music accomplishments I could ever think of, to be honest with you. I'm biased because I love those two albums, and I also feel like the mid 2000s, that just 2000s R&B in general doesn't get enough praise because people praise the 90s R&B so much. But man, I feel like that 2000s R&B is just as timeless in my personal opinion, and I
Absolutely.
think he's a great architect in ushering that sound. Him, Brian Michael Cox, Jonte Austin, definitely a few others as well, but those three guys right there, man, like they were a big part of like my musical influence, and I take off my hat to them. They're amazing.
Absolutely. Especially when he put Chris Cross on the map with
Yeah,
Ja
for sure. Mm-hmm.
early in the 90s.
That
Then
was a start, really.
you worked with Ron Isley, the Isley
Mhm.
brothers. He was on the song. I forget the song's name, but he was on a song with Ron Isley. He got Bow Wow on a song with Jessica Simpson in
Oh,
2004.
I do remember that.
Yeah,
Wow, I didn't know the Ron Isley one. Wow, that's impressive. But
yeah,
I remember the Jessica Simpson one. Wow, you taking it back with that one.
yeah. Because I know Bow Wow was like basically like the kind of like the post Chris Cross type of.
No, he definitely was. Yeah, he
Yeah.
definitely was.
Because I think that if Chris Cross decided to stick with it after the 90s, I think they could have been just as relevant. Not that they didn't have good hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what's so interesting about I feel like rappers back in the 80s and 90s, they didn't have a long run like the guys have now. I don't know why that is, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe because maybe back then people really did see rap as like a young man's game.
Hmm.
Now we've been proven that it's not. You know, you can do this as long as you want, as long as you're passionate about it. There's an audience for you. I honestly love listening to the elder statesmen, their rap albums, and just the game and the knowledge they spit, and just them telling their stories. Because honestly, like if you do it right, you're supposed to get better with time and with age. So technically, like you have a lot to look forward to if you just keep on going as you get older and don't quit and don't give up. So yeah, I it would have been nice to see um like where like those artists, some of those artists from the early '90s, late '80s would have ended up if they kept on going. But I'm happy the guys have like a blueprint now of like, all right, I don't have to just stop rapping when I hit 40. I could keep on going. You
Hmm. And as long as you're able to fill out venues, you just keep
know.
rapping as long as possible. I mean, if the
Yeah.
Rolling
Yeah.
Stones,
Honestly, I mean, because once you have catalog, you just keep adding that. Because I tell a lot of my friends this, and this is just my personal opinion. I feel like in order to be a legendary artist, all you really need is 3 classic albums during your prime. It sounds challenging, which it can be, but if you really are a student of music, I don't think it's that hard. You know what I mean?
hmm,
You just have to have the right team around you, and you just have to study the greats from the past and just implement that into what you're doing currently. And I think you can do it. But I think if during your prime you are able to have 3 classic albums back to back, and then if you're then like say you take a break, right? And
hmm,
I think the real like testament to true greatness is if you could have a classic comeback album, or at least a comeback album that makes an impact. It doesn't necessarily have to do like what Mariah Carey did with Emancipation of Mimi. Like that's like lightning in the bottle right there. But if you can make an impact, everything you do after that, you can kind of really just coast. But if you just keep on like adding things to your legendary status, you just naturally separate yourself from the pack, and you just like eventually people are gonna just have to stop comparing you to people, you know.
exactly. Look.
But yeah, that's just kind of like just really music nerd talk that me and my friends talk on occasion.
Yeah, and look at the Rolling Stones. Like they're still touring well into their 70s. Look at
Right.
Ron Isley. He's 82 years old and
Still
he put
touring.
an album out 2 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and even
and you're still shredding.
Elton John just did a farewell tour, I think, last year. I think he's like 80 something. So
Yeah,
yeah, like you can go as long as you want to. Like just think about someone like Johnny Cash. I think he went up like Johnny Cash and Ray Charles. They dropped albums right before they passed away.
yeah,
So
exactly.
it's possible. It's
Yep,
definitely
and Ron
possible.
Isley's able to still keep to his old style, yet still include artists like Two Chains,
Yeah.
Trey Songs, etc. And it still sounds as good as his old stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's key. Like, I think like like as you get older, just staying true to your sound. But that definitely don't be afraid to add some new flavor in there. Is for me, as long as it doesn't come off inauthentic and doesn't come off like corny or cheesy, then I say go for
Exactly, because sometimes a lot of the artists try to stay relevant in their old age, and sometimes it can come off as
it. Yeah,
pandering.
sometimes it comes off weird. Like I'm
Yeah,
not gonna lie. Sometimes if I hear like a older artist and I hear them doing like a double time flow, I'm like, I don't know.
yeah, it's
It just
like
sounds. It's a weird. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But I get it though. Because you don't wanna sound dated. It's like
yeah,
I don't know. It's a real thin line. You gotta take as an artist. That's why I also because like it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because all right, for example, you have artists where they keep it safe, right? And
Mhm.
they make the same type of music every album, same type of music every single.
Mhm.
Um, but people criticize them because they say, oh, they make all their songs sound the same. They always do the same thing. But then you have an artist that does a lot of different things, and then people are like, I wish he would just stick to this, this sound. This is what I
Mhm.
like for the best. So I always tell artists, um, you gotta find that happy medium. You gotta do what you love, but also do what people love you for.
Mhm.
And I feel like with that formula, I feel like your first project should be like your like foundational, should be like you at your core. And then from there, you just keep on adding things, adding new things and kind of like Easter eggs of things you want to do in the future. Um,
Yes.
but I feel like once you make 3 albums, like a solid, like good 3 albums, whether like they're classics or not, as long as they're good, then I feel like you can technically do like whatever you want musically. Because I
Yep.
feel like by 3 albums, you should have been able to establish like your core fan base, the people that will be able to lock in with you for life, hopefully.
Exactly. Like in that example, this is the Black Eyed Peas. They started off with boom bap hip hop, and then
Mhm,
over time they moved to the more poppy stuff, and
mhm.
then they went back to their boom bap era, and then they went to basically dance music or whatever.
Yeah, they've had a lot. It's crazy. Like we bring up Black Eyed Peas because I remember when I first found out that they had been around like that long,
Hmm.
and I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like they've been around because it was Eazy-E, I think that signed them,
Yep.
and I was like, that is crazy.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, man, like
Oh
it's crazy because a lot of times you see artists when they blow up, but you don't know how long they've really been doing this for.
yeah. Hmm.
And a lot of artists before they blow up, they've been doing this for years. We're
Absolutely.
just seeing them because it's like a combination of hard work and just perfect timing and just bam. But a lot of artists, like before their big moment, they've been doing this maybe 10 years plus. It's
Yeah.
a few that like, especially these days that they get on really fast and it's like, oh, I blew up with my first song. But for most artists, it doesn't work like that.
Exactly. Or look at like Redfoo. Like he was a rapper and he put out a rap album in '98. It didn't get a ton of play, but his uncle was part of Motown Records, so that gave
Okay.
his career a little bit more longevity
Mhm.
than most would.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about your music actually.
Oh, okay, great, great.
Yeah, so talk about your music. A couple songs that stood out to me. I know we did talk about this prior to what we're talking about right now, but
Yeah.
talk to me about the songs "Gentle" and "Dinner for Two."
Okay. So I'm gonna start with Dinner for Two. And I had a feeling you were gonna ask me about Dinner for Two. And it's the crazy thing about Dinner for Two is that's one of my oldest hooks. Because I originally came up with that hook back in 2009,
Wow.
back when I was in high school.
Wow.
It like the original version is a little more up tempo than
Mhm.
the one that you currently hear. Um, so like with the newer version, I had kept that hook for a while, and I was just waiting for the right beat to come along for it. Um, and I feel like when did I record that? I think I recorded that in 2020. I think it was 2021. I recorded that in spring of 2021. That's like around that time. That's when I locked in with this producer. He randomly just started sending beats to me, and the funny thing about that is I used to fight like really like receiving beats from people because for the longest time I really just um, was locked in on poetry. You know what I mean? And then I made a spoken word project with my boy Kadakage James, and from there it kind of opened me up to like working with producers. The great thing about him is he was able to meet me where I was at. Because at that time most people tried to send me beats, but I'm like, man, I'm a poet. I'm not really trying to rap like that. I'm trying to do like spoken word. Um, but by by this time in 2021, when I was receiving beats, I was really ready to like sing and like, rap and like do hooks on like, beats. And I just happened to like open the email because he had sent me like 3 like packs back to back. And I was like, all right, let me check these out. You know what I mean? Let me do, he took the time out to send me these. Let me click on them. So I clicked on them, and I feel like the first pack he sent me, I loved like all of them. And within that pack was the Dinner for Two beat. And um, I remember it was one Sunday I was just locked in, and I created like 7 songs. Like I was in the zone. And I remember I heard the Dinner for Two beat, and I was just listening to it, and I was just like, I wanna kick it with you.
I want to
I wanna
chill
chill
with you.
with you. Dinner for two.
You
Only me.
with you.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, this fits perfectly. Cause sometimes, I come up with stuff on the spot, but then other times I'm like, oh, I already have something for that. So that was one of those ones where I already had something for it. I just had to fit it to that beat. And I remember I recorded it, and yeah, the rest is history. Like when Zoe told me he wanted to make a project with me, that's when I kind of went into A&R mode, and I was like, all right, what songs do I already have for him that I could send him in the meantime while I'm trying to cook some things up? And Dinner for Two was one of those ones. I think originally I was trying to get one of my other friends on it, but I was like, let me see, maybe he'll like this. So I sent it to him, and Zoe loved it. Like him and my boy James, they put it on repeat. Like he was like, man, I love this song. And so then I reached out to my other friend. I was like, hey, do you mind if um, I give this to somebody else? And he was cool with it. And yeah, and that's how it ended up on our album that's out now called Enter Thy Kingdom. Um, and honestly, the inspiration for Dinner for Two, I'm trying to think in 2009, what headspace was I in? But I don't know. I think probably I had just got inspired by love and just like wanting like the feeling of like, feeling love for the first time, and like wanting to take someone out that you really like liked and cared about, and just show them a night on the town. And like
Mhm.
and in that scenario, I was like, oh man, like imagine like, taking a girl I like at the time out around for a good night in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that feel like? What does that look like? And that's kind of how that hook came about. And it's definitely one of my favorites. I really love the way it turned out. So I appreciate that you love that one so much.
Oh,
Um, yeah. But and then with Gentle, Gentle's a newer one. Gentle is, I want to say, Gentle's from 2021 as well, like end of 2021.
yeah.
The same guy that made the Dinner for Two beat made Gentle, and shout out to him. His alias is Sugar Beats. Also, he goes by a few names: Sugar Beats, Monopoly Beats, but his real name is Paul. So shout out to Paul.
Mhm.
He the Gentle beat was another beat that was part of a big pack that he emailed me, and I remember I heard the beat, and I was like, "Ooh, I like this beat a lot. It's nice." And I was like, "Oh, I feel like this would probably be good for me and Zoe's project because we didn't have any song like that at the time." And like my family, part of my family is from the Caribbean, so I always like to like throw a little bit of Caribbean flavor um,
Mm.
on like
You
my
can hear
project,
it. You
stuff
can
like
hear
that. Yeah,
it.
I appreciate it. So basically, with that song, I was inspired by, I feel like, just talking to different friends about relationships and how they can be very challenging, and how like a lot of times as a man, um, like people don't, like women or just people in general don't realize we have feelings too. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's like guys talking to other guys or women talking to us, it's like, like society says we always gotta be tough all the time.
Yep.
it's like, man, like I got feelings too. Like, I feel things. Like I get offended by things. Like I feel
Yeah,
about things. So
same.
like people tell you like, oh, you should just shrug it off.
Or man up
Yeah,
and stop
man up. And
being a
it's like it's
wimp or
very
whatever.
yeah, and it's very toxic. And I feel like over
It
the last
is.
few years, we've realized that that's not really the way to go about things. And that song is really just speaking to that. Be gentle with me. Be patient with me. I'm just growing, so please don't judge me.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we all are just growing and
Yeah.
learning. And I feel like we need to be more gentle, more patient, more compassionate, show each other more empathy, because we're all going through something.
Oh my God.
You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? So that's really what that song is about. And yeah, like, yeah, I'm happy because I remember one of my friends, one of my best friends, he really loved that one. And he was in a relationship at the time. He could really relate to it, so it was really mission accomplished. You know what I
Oh,
mean? So, yeah, I'm
patience.
really glad you like that one as well.
Yes. Patience is a virtue, especially in this microwave society we live in
Mm,
right now. If
talk
sad
about
thing is, it's just everything wants everything instantly, and just like the second something goes south, then it's like, nope, nope, nope.
And I'm
It's
happy you brought that up because that's something I talk about with a lot of my friends a lot. Like I feel like as a generation we give up too easy. Like the people I appreciate the most in my life are people that don't give up on me. You know what I mean?
exactly.
People that don't give up on me, but also people that keep it real with me, tell me when I'm wrong, tell me when I'm doing right. People that are just honest. And I try to do the same thing with, my family and my friends, people I care about. And I just think it's messed up when people just give up on people like over like minute, like small things.
Oh my
So
God.
I feel like everything is like it ain't nothing that a conversation can't resolve.
Exactly. Instead of
For the
like,
most part. I mean, there's a few
yeah,
things, but for the most part. You know what I mean? Like
sure,
it ain't nothing like some communication. And also like I think a lot of times we just gotta take our ego and our pride out of things, which is easier said than done. But I've realized that like it's best to like try to like rise above things. Like you
yeah,
can still get off like how you feel about things in a respectful, like positive way,
yes.
and and stand your ground, but also at the same time understand where someone's coming from, respect how they feel, and and you guys can move past it. Like
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of times where like in the past where I wasn't that great at communicating how I felt because of what we talked about. Because I
Hmm.
learned from society that you're a man, you're not supposed to say how you feel, or like sometimes I would assume like, man, you should know that's messed up. I don't need to talk to you about that, which that's not the right way to go about
Oh
things.
yeah.
People just don't assume like your feelings, what I'm saying, or how you feel about things. Everybody grows up differently. Everybody
Yeah.
has views on experiences on things.
Mhm.
So yeah, I found that it's best, especially over the last few years, especially since the pandemic, once I really
Oh
got
my
to
God. The
do that.
pandemic just totally looks like it just threw all that out the window.
Yeah, because I feel like we all got a chance to like sit with ourselves and think and really evaluate like what are we doing right, what are we doing wrong, and the person we really want to be. Like I feel like God
Hmm.
really gave us the time to really just sit down. You know what I mean? And I don't know if we'll ever get another time like that in history. So I'm grateful for that time um, of reflection. And now it's like when you know better, you gotta do better. So that's the real challenge now, right? So for me, like I just want to encourage everyone, like we've been talking about, be first off, be patient with yourself, be compassionate with yourself, be understanding with yourself, get to know yourself also on top of that, because that's the only way you really get to those things is by getting to know who you are, and understanding who you are, and understanding uh, who you consider God to be, and your relation to God. Like once I think two of the most important things in life you can ever gain is knowledge of God and knowledge of self. And once you can get that like understanding, you have a better understanding of who you are and how you work in the world. who other people are to you. And I think once you have that level of understanding, then you can be more compassionate, more empathetic, more understanding, and yeah, like because like for me, I'm an empath, so I naturally feel like not only my energy but others people's energy, and I'm not gonna lie, it can be very overwhelming.
Hmm.
Um, but it's very rewarding because I have a better understanding of people, and that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Hallelujah. And before we wrap up, I actually wanted to talk to you about your album. I didn't want to let this episode go past without actually discussing your album from last year.
For
How
sure.
did that all come together? And what was it like to release it? I believe you released it on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, New Year's Eve. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it all came about in the beginning of 2022. Uh, Zoe G reached out to me, told me he wanted to do a song with me. He really loved the project that I did with his boy and actually our boy James Katakage Music. Me and him did a project called Love Quest back in 2022 that Zoji really loved, and he told me he loved it. He told me he wanted to do music with me. So basically, I was like, all right, what type of song should we do? So I basically kind of just went in a beat pack that Katakage had sent me, and I just went through beats, and I came across the beat for King's Dream, which is the first song on the project, and uh, I was listening to it, and I was like, man, I love this beat. I was like, I don't know if it's for me, but I really love this beat, right? So I wrote the beat number down, and so I kept on going through the other beats, but I always kept on going back to that beat. So then I was like, all right, this is a sign. Let me just see what I can do with it. You know what I mean? So I spent some time with it, and I I came up with it back when I was in Stone Mountain, actually, um, and yeah, man, like I was really influenced for that song by like a mixture of Kendrick Lamar, like how he does like the voices, and then also like J. Cole, like during his like KOD phase,
Mm,
and it was like a mixture of that, and like I feel like Zoe has a very like kingly like presence and like voice, so I wanted to give him something of that like stature, and so I sent it to him, and he loved it. He jumped on it immediately, and we put it out in June of 2022. And then, like maybe a month or two after, he reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, man, like I've gotten like a lot of great reception back from the song. Like, hey, how would you feel about doing a project?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. You know what I'm saying? I'm down. You know." And then we decided on Enter Thy Kingdom as a name. That was actually his idea,
okay.
and after that, that's when I started like sending him songs. I think soon after that, I sent him like Greed, which Greed, that's actually my first longest hook. I mean, not longest hook, my first oldest hook.
Mhm.
So that's even older than Dinner for Two. I came up with Greed hook probably back in 2005.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So of course, like of course it changed over the years, but that concept and like a lot of those words like were the foundation and are like honestly similar. So that was our second single, and then we put that out in fall of 2022. Um, and then last year February, that's when we put out Dinner for Two, and then last year March, that's when we put out Gentle. And originally, um, we had a plan to put out Enter Thy Kingdom in the spring, but that didn't happen because, like, I don't know, I uploaded the project a few times and it failed, so I got like discouraged and annoyed and all that. And then Zoe, he worked on a project called Supernova that he did with our boy West and Kalakage, and he wanted to put that out first. So Enter Thy Kingdom was really kind of like a surprise, like, hey, appreciate all the people like yourself that rock with us. Here's a whole project for you guys. We appreciate you guys. And so yeah, we put it out on New Year's Eve, and yeah, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback from the album. Everyone that's heard it so far really, really is impressed, and they really are feeling it, and that's all we could have hoped for. So, thank you for checking it out. Also, I would like to hear like from you. How did you feel about the album? What were
Honestly,
like besides Gentle and Dinner for Two? What were some of your other favorites?
I'll have to re-listen to it to be honest with you. If I'm being honest with you,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that the album's gonna be good, but I will definitely have to re-listen to some more of the songs other than those. Those are the main ones I bumped, but I will have to listen to some more of those if I'm
Mm.
being honest with you.
Okay, yeah,
But
no,
I
I
know it's gonna be
appreciate
good.
that
I know
honesty.
that's gonna
Yeah, yeah, and honestly, it's no rush, no pressure. Whenever you get a chance, I would love to hear what you think about it because we're going into this album. This is honestly like my first like full length like project. I've done like a lot of like EPs
be.
and
Mhm.
like a lot of collaborative projects because like for me, um I realized a while ago that like I don't mind doing solo projects, but I love helping others and I love helping myself at the same time. And collaboration, I'm able to feed both of those. So that's why I love doing collaboration projects so much. And with Enter Thy Kingdom, I know Zoe wanted more like love relationship type songs, right? Heartbreak type songs. And that's what I was known for. And for him, he already had like the high energy songs, and I wanted to do more of those.
Mhm.
So we were able to meet each other in the middle. Like he was able, I was able to find great high energy songs that matched him, and he was also able to bring me a song like You Do, and like song and like which is more of a relationship song, uh, and then also like a more like high energy like chill song um like a half and half. And then I was able to bring the other ones, like the used to be and greed, like we talked about, and on God ones like that, and a few of the other ones, and we're able to really like make a cohesive project that's about like motivation and love and like heartbreak because the way I like to describe the album is it's really about a guy that's really trying to chase his dream. And in the midst of that, he finds love, gets into a relationship, and he's trying to navigate like balancing the two. And it gets challenging, but he realizes at the end of the day that he can't give up. He has to keep on going no matter what. And that like anything worth having, you gotta work hard for, whether it's chasing your dreams or a relationship. And at the end of the day, like um, you only find that reward when you don't give up. So,
Exactly.
kind of back to what we were talking about. So, like the key to life, in my opinion, is to not give up. Because when you give up, you don't get nowhere. When
Mhm.
you keep on going, that's where you get where you want to go.
Yep. And before we wrap up, are there any future projects in the works, and where can people find
Yeah, so future projects. I have a project that's on the horizon called Carpe Diem. Should be coming out in the very near future, hopefully, with my boy Chris Hovers. It's a full like production like instrumental project. We've been working on it. I want to say since maybe 2021, 2022, somewhere around that time.
you?
But we're really proud of it, and it's some of my most ambitious creative music yet. So definitely looking forward to people checking it out. Because also, since I come from playing piano, even though I'm not that great at playing piano anymore, because I didn't keep it up after I stopped, but I always love making beats and producing. I'm not really like a hands-on producer, but I'm more of a like a person that has grand ideas and concepts, and I like to go to my boy Chris to execute them, and we have a great communication like music relationship, and we're basically able to talk each other's language, and it's really beautiful, and I can't wait for you to hear it and everyone else to hear it. It's really dope. But yeah, that's called Carpe Diem, and that project is really like we tell a story through the production about really just Carpe Diem, seizing the day, like going after what you love, and not giving up. So as you can see, like that's a big theme in like my music and like my art. I just love to preach motivation and inspiration and just give people some hope. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what people need out here. And my other project that I've been working on for a little while now, probably since 2022, is a project called No More Excuses with my boy Will, MNIW. That's his artist name. And we have a few singles out there now. And I'm not exactly sure when that project's coming out. We're taking our time with it, but we're nearing like the end of it, like getting songs mastered for it and all that. But that project is like probably my most personal project to date. We got inspired by a situation that we went through, and we came out the better end of it, and we realized that we had no more excuses, that we had to do what we said we were going to do what God put inside of us to do, and execute it, and hopefully inspire people at the same time by telling our story.
Nice. And last but not least, first of all, thank you for coming on doing the
Oh
interview.
yeah, of course. Thank you for
Getting
inviting.
getting to meet you. And where can people find your music?
People can find my music on all streaming platforms: Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube Music, Spotify, all the main platforms. And my name on there is A.E. Charles. And you can find me on Instagram by the same name. And I'm also on X at Stand Up M. You can find me on X, which is also known as Twitter, as there. And yeah, man, like if you guys ever want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me through email as well. It's A.E.Charles, the writer at gmail.com. And yeah, and like Tony also mentioned, I'm also an author slash poet. So I have two books out on Amazon. One's called The Experience. The other one is called The Undergrad Collection, and all under the same name, A.E.Charles. And so you can check that out. I look at those two books as like my first two albums, because that's a lot of the work I started like writing back when I was in college, and I also do podcasting as well. I haven't done it in a while. I kind of took a hiatus from podcasting, but I have a podcast called Things to Keep in Mind. Um, that's out on all podcast platforms, and I also help my dad with his podcast called the Nichols Podcast on all streaming platforms as well. So feel free to check out all of those. Greatly appreciative for the time, Tony. Anytime you need me to come on, I always would love to join you on here.
You got it. Thank you guys for tuning into the podcast. You can follow. Make sure you subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. You can follow myself on X at tbogues2010. Follow me on Instagram at the same name. And thank you all for tuning in. And catch you guys later.
Peace and love.